Welcome into Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope all of you are having fantastic Mondays wherever across the nation or the world you may be. Let's start with Kyler Murray winning the Heisman. I disagree with Kyler Murray winning the Heisman. I think that Tua Tagovailoa should have won the Heisman. I think he was the best player all year long in college football. I don't understand how you could have that belief without a doubt for 12 weeks, and then he gets injured early in the game against Georgia, and suddenly you convince yourself that he is not the best player in college football. I think there is a clear and apparent reaction against Alabama's dominance, and I think Tua bore the brunt of that on Saturday. I think that's why they did not win the Heisman Trophy. I think Oklahoma seems new. I think that a lot of the voters are delicate flowers who want to be convinced of something at the last moment. And so, by the way, I'm not the kind of guy to complain or gripe or draw attention to himself. Let me just say this. There are 940 Heisman Trophy winners. How do I not have a Heisman Trophy vote? I mean, I'm just asking you this as a very basic level. Of everybody who writes or talks about college football in America today, where would you rank me in terms of audience size, in terms of influence? There is 0% chance I'm not top 10 in all of college football media, right? In terms of overall influence in college football. Probably I'm top 5. In terms of readership, following, social media, everything else. How do I not have a Heisman Trophy vote? Why am I being discriminated against, and why do I not have a Heisman Trophy vote? Of everybody in the country, they have 950 some odd Heisman Trophy voters. I think I'm clearly top 10. I think there's a solid argument I'm top 5. How do I not have a Heisman vote? I don't know how they dole out the Heisman votes, but this is an unbelievable, to me, situation that I don't have a Heisman Trophy vote. I won't go so far as to call it the most clear and apparent evidence of systemic racism and bias that I've ever seen in the history of the Heisman Trophy. But some of you could say that. This is what happens. Where is my white privilege? Where is my systemic bias that I hear that I have all the time? How am I getting left out here? How do all these loser dudes with no audience at all have Heisman Trophy votes and your boy doesn't? I got to say it. I think it's racism. I think it is just disgusting, ugly, unadulterated racism that I don't have a Heisman Trophy vote. That's the only possible explanation for how I don't have a Heisman Trophy vote. I think this is also bad for Kyler Murray because Alabama is going to obliterate Oklahoma as a result of this. Some of you out there argue, oh, there's no way this is going to make a difference. I disagree completely. I disagree completely that Alabama is not going to use this, and Nick Saban in particular, as evidence of disrespect for the Crimson Tide, that Kyler Murray got the Heisman Trophy, that nobody can stop him, that they thought that Tua wasn't worthy of the Heisman Trophy. Nick Saban's ability to make Alabama out to be a victim and to be disrespected, despite the fact that Alabama is the most respected dynasty in the history of college football, is, in many respects, an absolute work of art. This is going to play into Nick Saban's belief system perfectly. Nick Saban is going to play the no respect card over and over again. I think we could. I'm a little bit nervous about how healthy Tua is going to be, but I think we could see a beatdown much like we saw from Vince Young after he didn't win the Heisman Trophy when he went out and he beat USC, the undefeated USC team. I think motivation like this matters. Having said all of that, congrats to Kyler Murray on winning the Heisman Trophy. And I have to say this. I believe that every grown adult who wrote an article about 14-year-old Kyler Murray's tweets should be humiliated to the high heavens and ridiculed mercilessly for their incredible loserdom. I want to go into this area. I just wrote a big piece, a couple of thousand words from me and my thoughts about this up at Outkick. But at its most basic level, my belief is this. If we, as reasonable adults, have decreed that children who commit crimes, robbery, assault, battery, theft, you name it, serious crimes. You can steal a car. You can break into a home. You can physically assault someone. That those charges should not follow adults when they turn 18 years old. How can any reasonable human being argue that the tweets that a 14 or 15-year-old kid send should follow them into adulthood? It doesn't make any sense at all. This is wrong. And it has happened over and over again. It happened to Dante DiVincenzo after he won, after he performed so well in the NCAA tournament. And by the way, Dante DiVincenzo got in trouble for tweeting out rap lyrics. Tweeting out rap lyrics. It happened with Josh Allen as he was preparing to get drafted. It happened with Josh Hader, I think it was, while he was pitching in the All-Star game. All of these guys, basically, if you're a famous athlete, they have gone back through your Twitter history back when you were totally not famous and just tweeting with your buddies back and forth, not thinking about the fact that everything was going to be public. And they have decided to turn these into real, legitimate stories. And I just have to say this. We have to stop enabling all of these losers. Think about the kind of person, Scott Gleason, Kevin Hart. Think about the kind of person, and I'm going to get to those guys in a minute. Think about the kind of person who the moment that somebody achieves their greatest level of success of all time, that the first thing you think to do is to go on Twitter and search their name and see if they ever used a gay slur or if they ever quoted a famous rap lyric, and then you turn it by putting it out on social media and tagging people into a story. I find it to be utterly indefensible. Regardless of who the person is, everybody has kids, everybody's got grandkids, everybody has been a kid. And I also think this is significant. The media is completely wrong here, and they've covered this in a completely wrong fashion. Remember when Josh Hader went out after the tweets came out in the All-Star game, and he took the mound, and the Milwaukee Brewer fans stood up, and they applauded for him? And many people in the media said, oh my God, look how many racists there are in Milwaukee applauding Josh Hader, even though he had these racist tweets and these homophobic tweets and these sexist tweets. Look at how awful the people in Milwaukee are. And I said, no, media, you just don't get it. There's a lot of dumb people in the media. One reason that I have dominated to such an extent is because I'm a lot smarter than most people in the media. The fans were not standing and cheering for those tweets. They were standing and cheering because they recognized something significant, which is all of them believed that the Josh Hader had been treated completely unfairly in the way that the media covered his tweets. They have grandkids, they have kids, they have been teenagers. Again, if our national discussion has led to the point where we don't believe that kids who commit actual crimes should be followed into adulthood, why in the world should you be raked over the coals for a tweet that you sent to a buddy when you were 14 or 15 years old? I just don't get it. I don't understand it. One of the reasons that I've been so successful in life is because I understand the average person. I am the average person, right? Middle-class kid, grew up in Nashville, went to public school K through 12. I didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth. I understand how the average sports fan thinks. I understand what motivates the average sports fan. And so many people don't. And so I believe that Kyler Murray and everything associated with this Twitter shaming era we live in needs to die. I believe Kevin Hart should be able to host the Oscars. I believe that the Guardians of the Galaxy director 1 and 2, it's a fabulous movie, should be able to direct Guardians of the Galaxy 3, James Gunn. I thought those were fantastic movies. I even think that Roseanne shouldn't be fired given her defense, which is she was not trying to give a racial slur. She didn't even know the race of the woman that she was insulting. I think we need to stop overreacting to tweets. We do. We just need to stop overreacting to tweets and allowing people who sit around all day policing Twitter to have no power. Don't give them the ability to take control of our social universe. Here's something else. I want you to think about this for a minute. And I might have talked about this on Friday. When the grabber by the pussy video came out with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump was standing there beside Billy Bush, the video came out, or the audio came out, and so many people rushed out and said, there's no way that Donald Trump is ever going to get elected president. And I said at that time, I think the video is not going to change, or the audio is not going to change anybody's mind. And then the public went and voted, and Donald Trump got elected president. And that's because the public doesn't sit around grabbing its pearls, falling onto the fainting couch every time somebody says something that's remotely inappropriate. They put it within the context of everything else that that person has said before, and they decided that ultimately either you liked Trump or you didn't like Trump. That audio didn't change anything. I think is wild about this story is that Billy Bush, who merely stood beside Donald Trump, was fired from the Today Show and I believe has basically been unable to get employed since. Why is that? Because the media has created an artificial reality for what is acceptable and what is unacceptable when it comes to speech that the nation as a whole does not agree with. Billy Bush just stood beside Donald Trump. How in the world can you fire him from the Today Show? He did nothing wrong. Yet the media has created this artificial sense of what is appropriate and what is inappropriate, and as a result, they have now created such an artificial standard for acceptable behavior for comedians that virtually no comedian in America can actually host the Oscars. Because their standard for what is acceptable and unacceptable speech is so antiquated, artificial, and for lack of a better word, fake, no one is actually able to come out and make be a hosting. It's unbelievable. That story all ties together. I would encourage you to go read my column on the issue. It will make you think a lot, I believe. And share it with your friends and family if you like it. Okay, NFL insanity. And by the way, let me close out by saying this. The place that should be the most aggressive in protecting free speech and creative freedom is Hollywood. Hollywood has turned into the least free speech laden area and the most free speech policing area in the entire country, and most people still don't understand that absurd irony. Creative dynamism demands free speech. It demands creative freedom because you can only make something new if you risk. And that's what's so troubling to me as a person who is in a creative industry, that Hollywood, of all places, has been led off the reservation of reasonableness, and it now is spending all of the time trying to protect people who are not in the mix here. The irony is mind-boggling. Somebody used to say mind-boggling. It's absurd. So let's dive into what we saw in an incredible game. Incredible game. Dallas Cowboys. I want to say it straight up. I want to say it loudly. I want everybody to understand it. The Dallas Cowboys made the greatest trade in the history of in-season trades in the history of the NFL. Jerry Jones deserves to be praised to the high heavens. Amari Cooper and what he has meant to the Dallas Cowboys, it's an absolute revolution. Let me give you an Amari Cooper stat package here, which will blow your mind. Before he was on the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, 3-4 record, 62% completion percentage, 202 passing yards, 87.4 passer rating. Since the trade for Amari Cooper, the Dallas Cowboys are 5-1, 74% completion percentage, 286 yards passing per game, 105.7 passer rating. Amari Cooper is the single greatest in-season trade in the history of the NFL. It has been unbelievable to see the overall impact here. I am blown away by the brilliance of Jerry Jones adding Amari Cooper. Other NFL insanity. The New England Patriots are slowly descending back to good NFL status from great NFL status. And the reason I believe that is, first of all, the 4 losses they have. Jacksonville Jaguars, not a playoff team. Detroit Lions, not a playoff team. Tennessee Titans, maybe not a playoff team. And probably the Miami Dolphins, not a playoff team either. I don't know the numbers. I bet you it's been a very long time since the New England Patriots lost 4 games to non-playoff teams. And that could very well happen this year. Moreover, it used to be that the Patriots never had a situation arise like arose at the end of the Miami game where they're out of sorts, out of touch, and out of position. Rob Gronkowski was on the field because they were expecting a Hail Mary. But Ryan Tannehill doesn't have the arm to throw the ball that far. In reality, the Patriots should have been in their base defense just further back so that Gronk couldn't have gotten faked out of his shoes at the end of the game by Kenyon Drake. Congratulations to the Miami Dolphins on that win. Right now, the NFL is wide open. We know the AFC is complete, and I'm going to dive into the AFC playoff picture tomorrow, but it is completely and utterly wide open. What about Patrick Mahomes? An incredible 4th and 9 touchdown, first down throw, then the touchdown throw on 4th and 3. But when you look at what happened to the Rams, when you look at what happened to the Patriots, when you see what happened to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who were falling apart before our very eyes, this is as wide open of an NFL race as I can ever remember seeing. There are so many different directions this year's playoffs could go. All you need to do is make the playoffs. It's a cliche to say that, but this year in particular, if you make the playoffs, you can go to the Super Bowl. And you've got 4 teams right now in the AFC. Right now, the Baltimore Ravens, the Miami Dolphins, the Tennessee Titans, and the Indianapolis Colts are all fighting for that final playoff spot. It's possible that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to fall back into that mix too, and that 2 out of those 5 will get in. But I think whoever can get to 10-6 will be in to the postseason. If you can't get to 10-6, you're probably not going to make the postseason. In the NFC, you might get in as a playoff team with an 8-8 record. Who knows? It's possible that that could end up happening. Finally, and I got to go do my television show, be on FS1. We're breaking down all the gambling action as we get ready for the game between the Vikings and the Seahawks, Monday Night Football style. I'll break down all the NFL playoff picture for you guys tomorrow on Outkick the Show. How about the University of Tennessee and their win over Gonzaga? They beat the number 1 team in college basketball. Tennessee now up to number 3 in the country. And if they had hung on to beat Kansas, they would be number 1 in the country because the only loss Tennessee's had so far this year was to Kansas in overtime. Remember all those idiots out there who said, when Cuonzo Martin left for Cal, Tennessee basketball will never recover? Guess what has happened? Tennessee basketball recovered in a hurry. Cuonzo Martin still has not won an NCAA tournament game since he left Tennessee. Do you remember all those people out there who tried to come after the University of Tennessee fans who saw Cuonzo Martin for what he was, a mid-level coach, and pined for either Bruce Pearl, who's got Auburn back in the top 10, or somebody else who could lead volunteer basketball to a new standard of excellence. Props to Rick Barnes, Admiral Schofield, Grant Williams, everybody on Josh Bone, that University of Tennessee team that may well make an all-time run this year if everybody stays healthy. This is a really good University of Tennessee team. I'd encourage you guys to all call out the media who said Tennessee would never recover once we lost Konzo Martin. That, my friends, is one of the worst predictions of all time. My bets tonight on the Seahawks going up against the Vikings. I've got the over and I've got the Seahawks. I'll break it down more for you on Lock It In 1/2 hour. I love all of you. Kisses from me. If you enjoy the show, go share it and make sure you go read my article up on Outkick right now, which I guarantee all of you will love. Outkick.com, diving into the Kyler Murray Heisman controversy. My name is Clay Travis. This has been Outkick the Show. Kisses to all of you. Go watch me on television now on FS1. I'll see you guys tomorrow. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. See y'all. Thank you, Facebook. I'll see you guys. See y'all.